Welcome back to a new edition of Believe in 49ers presented by the Believe Podcast Network and Bet Online AG. I'm your host, Evan Giddings. You can follow me on Twitter at Evan A. Giddings. And we're going to be joined by Dr. David Chao in just a moment to get you updated on everything with the 49ers, a team bedridden by injuries. Christian McCaffrey's going to Germany. Javon Hargrave, a torn triceps for the year. We'll get all of your injury updates in just a moment. But before we do, a reminder that Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. If you think you know your stuff, get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or just unwind with one of our 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. That's Bet Online. The game starts here. Well, welcome back to this emergency podcast, an episode of Believe in 49ers presented by the Believe Podcast Network. Evan Giddings with you, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco, and pleased to be joined now by Dr. David Chao, Pro Football Doc on Twitter, 17 plus years as an NFL head team doctor, live injury analysis for all sports, and you can head on over to Sports Injury Central to catch him for much more information. Doc, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, everyone is, I think, has their eyebrows raised at the news yesterday, coming down the line that Christian McCaffrey is headed to Munich, is headed to Germany to try and, it appears, deal with this Achilles tendonitis, this calf strain that at first was kind of a minor injury in preseason and then has been sort of dragged out. Now he's on IR. He has a full month. What can you tell us about what Christian McCaffrey is attempting to do and what the potential return to play protocol is going to be for the 49ers superstar?
Well, Oktoberfest is actually held in September, but no, Christian McCaffrey is not there for Oktoberfest. But it's a celebration of coming October, so it is in September. So
I'm a
who
bit
knows if
jealous,
he's
Doc,
going
I
to
got to say.
have a big stein of beer. But no, in all seriousness, we know exactly why he's going. He's going for a special treatment related to platelet-rich plasma, but that special treatment is not legal in the United States because his blood is manipulated. That's the reason he's flying all the way over there. Kobe did it back in the day. Platelet-rich plasma is legal in the United States, but the modified platelet-rich plasma is not. Certain stem cell therapies are legal in the United States, but in the offseason, you hear about NFL guys going to Costa Rica or going down to Mexico or going other places for stem cells. Those are a different kind of stem cell treatment that's not legal in the U.S. And that's why Christian McCaffrey is going there.
What kind of concern, I guess, does that signal? The fact that this isn't, like you're mentioning, something that's available to him in the U.S., is this sort of a last measure sort of deal for the 49ers running back? How concerned would you be as a professional, understanding that he's taking this measure to try to get back on the field this season?
Well, I would think that, 49ers fans should be thankful of his effort to go to Germany to get what he perceives is the best treatment. Likely, this is out of his own pocket, right? In terms of what he's doing and to make this extraordinary effort. I guarantee he's not going there just for a consultation. He's going there for the treatment, injection, procedure. Look, if it's just a consultation, we've got Zoom meetings, right? He could consult with the doctor. But here's the thing that I would say that's different. I fell victim to this too at Sports Injury Central, where we rate players and give them a preseason injury preview. I did not make much out of Christian McCaffrey's early calf strain. Matter of fact, in my one main fantasy thing, I was drafting third, so CMC fell to me, and I wasn't afraid to take him. Okay. However, in week 1, what happened? He was listed as calf/Achilles. It is the Achilles tendonitis that has him out. This is why Deebo Samuel's calf strain is different than Christian McCaffrey's calf/Achilles. The calf strain, you can go by symptoms. It can linger, but there isn't anything that you're worried about catastrophic. With Achilles tendonitis, You're worried about the catastrophic, which is the increased chance of an Achilles tendon rupture. Don't need to tell Bay Area people about that. Kevin Durant, Golden State Warriors back in the day in the NBA Finals, etc. Okay, that's what you want to avoid. I'm not saying that Christian McCaffrey is going to get an Achilles tendon rupture. I'm not saying that if he tried to play through it, he would for sure get it. I'm saying the chances of getting an Achilles tendon rupture are higher when you have the tendonitis, which is why the team was smart to put him on injured reserve. Because guess what? You all need him for the stretch run and the playoffs. Like if you can't get to the playoffs without him, then you're not worried anyways, right? And you don't want to take that catastrophic risk. That's what changed in week one, Achilles tendonitis. And this growth factor type blood spinning procedure, platelet rich plasma related procedure, is for the Achilles tendonitis, not the calf. So hopefully people see that as good news. I do think he's going to be back. The only slight bad news here is this cements in my mind that he's not coming back as soon as he's eligible to come
Mm.
off of injured reserve, that it's going to take some more time. Typically, after you get this injection, it's 4 or 6 weeks of time frame to have it fully kick in. And he's already, what, 2 weeks into the 4 week IR? Look, mid-season sometime, maybe the early part of the second half of the season, sometime in November, I'm pretty confident that he'll return. But it's November, not October at this point in time, is all that we're saying. It's more likely November. But look, you just want him for December and January, right?
Exactly. Yeah, with the 49ers trying to get back to where they were last year in the Super Bowl and get over the proverbial hump, Christian McCaffrey is absolutely instrumental. And I'm glad you mentioned that sort of optimistic outlook as far as the performance once he is ready. Though the Niners might not have him as soon as people are expecting, as you mentioned, what kind of percentage do you feel like McCaffrey could be at if and when he's back on the field? I understand that it makes the injury perhaps a bit more probable down the line. But if he's on the field, do you expect him to be 100%, Dr. Chow?
Well, I do expect him to get to 100% after he returns, but not at the moment he returns necessarily, right? I mean,
Gotcha.
look, if you're out of football for 6, 8 weeks or more, I mean, there's a ramp up period. Look, let's look at Trent Williams. He did very well in his first game back for the 49ers after his holdout. Right? I thought he played very well. And what's happened in the last 2 weeks? He's left for IVs. Maybe he hasn't played as well, right? I mean, the first time you return to play tennis after you haven't played in a long time, you might do all right, but you sure are pretty sore the second time you play, and maybe the third, right? As you
Yeah.
work yourself back into shape. So it takes a little bit of time. Trent Williams will get there. Christian McCaffrey will get there. But these are fine-tuned athletes, right? And they're Formula One cars. You don't just start them up and drive, and there's a warm-up period and to get them at their optimal performance.
Well, speaking of a couple of the other Ferraris for the 49ers, just to kind of clean up some of the other injuries, Javon Hargrave announced out for the season with a torn tricep, but the other sort of lingering ones they have, you mentioned Debo, along with Trent, who is playing, but had some muscle cramps during the Los Angeles Rams game, and of course, George Kittle. If there is an injury for the 49ers outside of McCaffrey that you feel like would be worrisome, which one would it be? Or do you feel like all these players we can expect to see back in top peak form relatively soon?
Well, Trent Williams, it's just playing himself into shape. Not real worried about him per se. The 49ers are going to be smart with Kittle and Debo, their muscle injuries. They know how to deal with it. This is not the Achilles tendonitis that CMC has. So to me, the biggest worry, obviously, Javon Hargrave, that's big. And, the biggest worry still is, when's Dre Greenlaw coming back and what percentage might he be? And, your safety, Hufunga still, in terms of his lingering knee issues. Those to me are bigger worries in the big picture of things than Kittle and Debo or Trent Williams. Although Kittle and Debo are the worry this minute, the overall bigger worries are the other guys.
Well, Dr. Chao, we really appreciate your expertise, your time, and helping calm some of the concerns. I think for a lot of people that saw Christian McCaffrey, not going overseas to go out to party, but going to get this. I think for a lot of Americans, sort of experimental help. And so, for you to be able to enlighten us with a lot of this information, not platelet-rich information, but rich information, we very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, that is Dr. David Chao. You can follow him on Twitter at ProFootballDoc. Nearly 20 years of NFL head team doctor experience, live injury analysis for the NFL, MLB, MLB, college football, all at sportsinjurycentral.com. As you've been listening to this emergency episode of the Believe in 49ers podcast, Evan Giddings, along with, again, Dr. David Chao. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode, and we'll talk to you next time on the Believe Podcast Network.